Hello and welcome to Building Solid Foundations. I'm your host, Steve Matley. We're on KCAA 1050 AM all over Southern California. If you miss us live, don't forget you can always catch us on your favorite podcast platform or on streaming. We are on Roku. We are on Amazon Fire. We are on the Android app. Look for the Building Solid Foundations channel. This show and a lot of other really great shows are on there, so check it out. It's a free channel for you. Today, we're going to talk about something that a lot of people don't know even exists. It's something called a self-directed IRA. An individual retirement account that is something that you decide how it's going to go. Our guest today is Karen Hall. Karen Hall is the CEO, president, and founder of UDirect IRA Services. They are based in Orange County, but they can handle people all over the place. And she has 20 years in mortgage banking, real estate, property management that she put to use to create UDirect, and when she discovered the power of self-directed IRAs. I will say that Karen says that financial literacy is not taught in schools, but our future depends on understanding it. Only about 4% of U.S. investors have a self-directed IRA. Why? Because most investors and many advisors simply are not aware of it. And I know I wasn't until I got into doing a lot of my real estate syndication projects. And investors came to me and said, can I invest through my IRA? And I had to go do a little research and find these things out. So talking to Karen, I've learned a lot about them. So welcome, Karen. It's great to have you on Building Solid Foundations today.
Steve, thanks so much. It's great to see you.
And Karen actually was a guest of us a couple of years back on this show when we were doing it more TV style as part of a panel discussing kind of private lending and alternative funding. So Karen, let's talk a little bit about first your background. I mentioned briefly you had 20 years in banking and real estate and mortgage. So tell us kind of where you came from and how you stumbled into the IRA business.
I think that, you go along with your career and you start following a path and then you find opportunities that come along the way, right? So I think I started the real estate career. I was a radio announcer and then I got a real estate license and I did that for a while. And then I got into mortgage loan servicing, property management, loan origination over all those years. But then, of course, mortgages came to a crashing halt during the Great Recession. We all remember that. Right. And at that time, I had a friend, I said, hey, I need a job, something outside of mortgage and real estate. And she introduced me to some people that were opening an office for a self-directed IRA company in Orange County. And they hired me. And that was great. And 2 years later, I broke off. And in 2009, started UDirect IRA Services.
So you started UDirect right smack in the middle of a very major downturn economically and in the real estate market.
Yeah, it's true. But that was like the best possible time to start this kind of a business. And the reason is because banks weren't lending. And investors were saying, where am I going to find capital? And then it dawned on them, wait, people have money in IRA accounts, self-directed IRAs. In fact, right now in retirement in general, there's at least $40 trillion in American retirement savings, okay? So it's a pretty big pool. And so then investors realize, wait a minute, I've got to get on this self-directed IRA thing, and I can tap into these IRAs and partner with IRAs to be a debt or equity partner in my deal.
Right. And what's I've found is people, I talk to people and they'd say, well, it's great that you do real estate and I hear all these people doing great, but I don't have any money. I can't get started. I don't know where to find any funding. And if you ask them, well, do you have a 401k from a former employer that's hanging around somewhere? And they go, yeah, I've got that. It's just kind of sitting there. I don't know what to do with it. And I said, well, that's your money. You got to go convert it to a self-directed IRA and you can use it. There's some rules around it, but people have a lot more money than they think if they have those kind of retirement, those old 401ks hanging around or traditional IRAs that are just kind of camping out, lingering with stocks and bonds and those kind of things that most retirement accounts, they give you this little menu and they say, this is what you get to choose from. And there's not much variability, not much exciting in there.
I picture a pie graph in my mind, the pie graph. But I think a lot of people really like alternative assets. I think they like assets that they can touch, assets that they can visit, because you can't live in a stock certificate, but even if your house would happen to go to zero value, you still have the land and there's still value of utility. And so that's why real estate is one of the really great components of self-directed IRA investing.
Yeah, and if
if
real
real
estate
estate
does
does
go
go
down, it's just a matter of waiting around. It'll come back. And if it's in your retirement account, you can't touch that money anyways until you're old enough. So it's not like it's going to affect your lifestyle. You know, it's money you can't touch until you get to a certain age. So if it goes down, it's just on paper. You wait, it's going to come back. The market always cycles around, and every high is higher than the last high, and every low is higher than the last low. That's
That's been the
the long
history.
term trend. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And yeah,
in Southern California, land has roughly doubled about every 15 years, like clockwork. It goes up and down in between, but you clock it from the end of World War II, and it doubles about every 15 years.
that's crazy. And that's the great thing about California. You know, the weather is so amazing and people want to be here. I think taxes and politics aside, I mean, I think it's all over though. I think you're really right about that.
Yeah.
But
And there's other high growth markets besides Southern California. My company, our market research is basically where do Californians move to? That's a good place to go because it's growing and it kind of works.
that's so true. That's so true. Well, you know, with the self-directed IRA, if you buy a property, say today you get a property and your IRA holds it, and there are rules and ways to do this we could talk about, but you've got that property in there, and then you say you hold it for 15 years because you said, like, you're right, it's retirement money. What are you going to do with it? It's not money you would use to pay your mortgage anyway. It's savings. So you get this property in your IRA, you collect the rents over the years, your IRA pays the property tax and the utility bills. But then in 15 years, maybe you have a liquidity event, right? You sell that property. And so all that money goes back into the IRA, right? Not diminished by tax, because all IRAs are tax free, like a Roth, or tax deferred, like a traditional type of account. So now all that money, your base plus all the gain can go back into the next deal. And that means you can just keep compounding again and again into different deals. And that is the beauty of self-directed investing.
Right. And a lot of people,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand, like a Roth, you pay the taxes before you put the money in, but any money generated within the IRA is not taxed. So that's all tax-free money. So you're only paying tax on the contribution itself.
Absolutely right, on the contribution, right, on the seed and not the harvest, right?
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and that I think a lot of people understand that because obviously people understand the tax deferred. Now, the tax deferred, you will pay tax on both the money you put in and on the profit that you've made in it when you take it out.
Right.
That's tax deferred.
When
So
you
the
take
Roth,
personal possession, yeah.
yeah, the Roth, you actually get that profit portion of it tax free. You never pay the taxes on that.
Yeah, as long as you meet two qualifying conditions for the Roth, and one is to have a Roth for 5 years, and the other is to reach the age of 59 and a half. So it's a pretty easy barrier to entry.
Yeah. Well, we hope we make 59 and a half.
Yeah, one day
that's
we
a good
will,
goal.
Steve. One day we'll get there. Yeah.
I was hoping to go a long way past that, actually,
Yeah.
if I could. So, okay. So, the thing with the self-directed, though, it's not your traditional IRA type companies. There's all those big companies that we've heard about there that have the big towers in all the big cities that we see the ads on TV. And they offer individual retirement accounts that tend to be more traditional. Here's some stocks and some mutual funds and some bonds and those kind of things. The self-directed, you're going through what's known as a custodian. And that's what your company is, as a custodian. Because kind of explain, what's the custodian's role?
UDirect IRA Services is an administrator, and we utilize the services of a custodian. So when I founded the company, I interviewed different custodians to hold the money and to do the cash management side of it. And so it's like you get the whole package with UDirect IRA Services. So what we do is we help you to through the whole process of self-directing, opening the account, getting it funded, which is to move the money in, and then investing. And we review the deals. And we're also here to talk to you about the rules. So before you go ahead and invest with a self-directed IRA, we want to have like at least a 20-minute conversation with you. Tell us about your deal. I mean, maybe it doesn't take that long, but tell us about your deal. Who are the principals? Because we want to know, does it break the rules? So I can get in the rules here.
Well, that's it. So let's do. We're gonna have a breakout 2.5 minutes. So in the second segment, let's get deep into the weeds on the rules.
Okay.
But for now, let's say that there are rules and there's boundaries around this thing, and you don't want to cross over them because you could trigger a taxable event.
Well, that's what we're here for too, to talk to you about the rules at the time that you're doing the deal and talk about your specific deal and say, hey, here are some of the rules you need to watch out for so that you can be aware of how to have the best possible experience with your self-directed investment.
Okay, so you're basically taking people by the hand and walking them through the process, helping them to not make mistakes, helping them to and because it's their IRA money, they're not allowed to touch it themselves. That there's a hands-off rule on that whole thing where they can't touch it. So some third party has to be the person who actually possesses that and manages it.
Correct.
Right?
That's exactly right. And yeah, otherwise there would be no IRA at all without the intermediary, because we do the tax reporting and record keeping on these retirement accounts and send that into the IRS annually.
Right. So the rule on any retirement account, whether it's a 401k or an IRA or whatever you're doing, is that you personally cannot ever see that money in your personal funds. At any point that happens, that becomes taxable.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Tired of qualifying your leads and not getting the right clients for you? Join the finest women in real estate and learn how to attract the best clients and increase your referral network. Call now at 951-378-5316. 951-378-5316 and become one of the finest women in real estate.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You're listening to Fabulous Lifestyle Radio. I'm your host, Ricky Perry, and we are affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and Sports, where we broadcast over 5 million households in the greater Los Angeles area. If you missed our previous shows, you can watch us on our streaming networks on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and the Android app.
Looking to attract your target market without soliciting or doing the cold calling? Call Marie Waite and book your consultation. Branding gives you the power to create a unique and classy perception of your business for your target audience. A marketing plan without the right branding will always cost more, take longer, and tend to deliver subpar results compared to a well-branded business. Marie Waite is a branding strategist who formulates effective marketing and media programs to promote your business in building your name, brand, and legacy. Marie has over 10 years of experience and a proven record of creating strong brand content for business owners, entrepreneurs, and companies using her creative ideas, recommendations, and innovative programs. Book now at mariewaite.com or call her at 951-378-5316, 951-378-5316.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. I'm your host, Steve Matley. Today we are talking self-directed IRAs with Karen Hall. She is the founder and CEO of UDirect IRA Services. In the last segment, the first segment, we talked about kind of what IRAs, self-directed IRAs are and some of their benefits. But what we want to get into in this one is we referenced there were some rules. And there's quite a few of them, and there's rules that are hard and fast. And the thing with self-directed IRAs, or any IRA, if you break the rules, it's extremely expensive. It's punitive. The IRS doesn't, if you're going to be a retirement account, do a retirement account and don't break the rules. Don't mess with things. So, Karen, let's get into some of the rules. We already mentioned the hands-off rule, but what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I sort of use the analogy of it's keep away. You know, it's a game of keep away from prohibited transactions. So you do want to keep things arm's length to avoid a prohibited transaction, because as you point out, if your IRA does commit a prohibited transaction and the IRS says you did, in your IRA, then you're right, your account can be dispersed to use a taxable event. But honestly, in my 17-year career in self-directed IRAs, I've only seen just a small handful of actual IRS, prohibited transactions. We see them sometimes, and when we see them, then we invite that person to, we'll to move their account. We'll say we can't custody this because you committed a prohibited.
Yeah, and it's not just the transaction that's disallowed. The entire account can be disallowed. So here you've got an account you've built up, and now you've got $250,000 in this thing that you've built up, starting with a few little contributions and some good investment things, and you basically disallow it, and now that has now become income to you, and you are taxed on the entire bundle.
You could, yeah. It's a worst case scenario that doesn't really happen that often. So, is it bad? It's really bad, but does it happen? Not very often. And one of the reasons it doesn't happen very often is probably because of the interaction, at least I haven't seen it very often, the interaction that we have with our account holders to discuss upfront about talking to them about due diligence, talking to them about how a self-directed IRA asset should be vested, reminding them that people are disallowed, like you're disallowed to your IRA. Your parents and grandparents, you and your spouse, children and grandchildren are disallowed to the IRA. So that means your IRA isn't going to, for example, make a loan to your spouse to open a business. Your IRA won't lend money to your children to go to school. If your IRA buys a property, it's your uncle could go in there and do the work, but not your mom.
So it's not just who's benefiting from the property as a tenant; it's also who is hired to do work on it.
Correct. So it's offering services to the plan. So a disallowed person cannot offer services to the plan. Okay. And a disallowed person cannot benefit from the plan. So the IRA, the whole point of an IRA is to save for later. So you're not supposed to have the benefit today. And if there's ever a question, if you are self-directing and you just, wow, I don't even know if I should do this, call us, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? Does it sound prohibited? And we'll tell you, because the responsibility, the onus of responsibility lands on the account holder, not the IRA company. It's self-directed. You are making the decisions, not us, about what happens with your IRA. But we do want to give you the best guidance possible.
Okay. And so, for example, through a self-directed IRA, I could invest in real estate, but what I cannot do is I can't loan my daughter a down payment for a house that she is either going to live in or rent out or something like that, right? Because she's direct descendant. I could not likewise do that with my parents or with my siblings. Is that right?
Siblings are okay.
Siblings are okay. So vertical is prohibited, horizontal is okay.
Yeah, but like aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, they're okay. It's just, for example, think of this: if you were to pass away without a will, who would inherit your estate, right? Okay. How would they go find the next person in line?
Okay. And so the heirs, the apparent heirs cannot have a benefit. Okay, got it. Okay. And so that's important. Because there's a lot of things that we look at and we say, but all I'm doing is just providing a loan to this person, and it's not my relative, but they've got one of my, children or someone like that that's involved in the project somewhere. And you just want to avoid any of that stuff.
Yeah, we do find that quite a bit. Someone will say, hey, I want my son as an asset sponsor and he's got a deal and I want to invest my IRA in the deal where my son is the COO. It's like, your son has, he's a C-suite. And if the son was a janitor, he wouldn't have like a decision-making
That's right.
kind of authority over the asset like a COO would. So yeah, we would steer that person away from that investment.
Okay. And then now there's some other rules, which has to do with what can you invest in. Because one of the great things about a self-directed IRA is I'm not stuck with this little list of mutual funds that I was given and a few bonds. I have a whole lot of things I can invest in. However, there are some things I cannot invest in. So if I want to invest in a rare collection of comic books through my self-directed IRA, is that something I can do?
No collectibles and no life insurance policies. That's a short list. When the IRS made these rules, they said no collectibles, no life insurance policies. And it's like, that is a short list.
So collectibles includes art, right?
Yeah, or fine wine collection, it would include cars, would be collectibles, even diamonds. Or your IRA can invest, your IRA can invest in gold and high quality metals, and we have a list of the metals that you can invest in our site. But things like diamonds are collectibles, and your IRA cannot invest in them.
So precious metals are okay, gems are not.
Yeah, and even with precious metals like a Krugerrand, the fineness isn't high enough to qualify to be an IRA investment, but like a maple leaf would be. So, we'll help you with that too.
So there's got to be a line there, because obviously if you're investing in gold coins, then is this a coin collection or is this investing in gold? And what they're saying is you're investing in a pure form of gold that is tradable. If you melt it down, it's got value.
I guess so, yeah, and like, right, no numismatics is what they're called, the collectibles, but gold. And right now, metals are really picking up as a great kind of asset that people like to have. I think I was hearing a podcast that somebody said, "Oh, have 10% of your assets in metals," and a lot of people do, and we help people to take their retirement and invest, all or part of it in metals as well.
Right, and so I think the reason is when you have inflation, people tend to go towards things that are commodity type investments like metals, that are physical, tangible things that always have value. And it goes up and down, but gold, silver, platinum, those type of things always have been considered of value, although that's variable as to where they rate, but they always have value.
Yeah, they do. And real estate's that kind of asset too, isn't it? It's like, it's something you can touch and hold, and well, real estate can live in it. And so that's another, again, as I was mentioning, just a super wonderful asset class. And so many different asset classes that people use their IRAs for are tied to real estate, like notes, lending, mortgages, and so forth. And also private equity. Maybe somebody has a Reg D offering and they're raising capital to build maybe a shopping mall or a multifamily property. Usually these things are tied to real estate. So mobile home parks, self-storage, so many different kinds of real estate assets that an IRA can invest in. And so real estate seems to be the core for most self-directed IRA assets.
Yeah, and I think when you look back throughout history, there's people have made a lot of money on certain inventions and those kind of things. But when you look at the stability of wealth growth throughout the history of humans from the beginning, real estate's kind of been at the base of everything. It's what the monarchs fought over. They fought over land. Right, they're trying to, or they're looking for the natural resources on it. They're looking for.
And what did Mark Twain say? Invest in land. They're not making any more of it, right?
That's right, and that's where I got introduced to self-directed IRAs, because in my company, as you know, we do a lot of land acquisition, we do entitlement processing, we do development, and we had investors coming to us that wanted to invest through retirements, and so I had to educate myself on that and say, well, because we had a hard and fast rule. I don't want anybody borrowing from their 401k to invest with us. That's not appropriate, And I would tell them, I don't want your kid's college fund. I don't want your personal retirement money. But a self-directed IRA would be different because it's designed for that. Otherwise, they have to borrow from it, and I don't want their mortgage money, their grocery money. I don't want any of that kind of stuff. That's a no-go for us. They need to have money that they can invest, and if, God forbid, everything went south and they all got lost, it would not change their lifestyle. It would not hurt them. And a self-directed IRA is money that is, as you said, savings, it's retirement, but it was specifically designed to allow them to use it for investing in those things. And the truth is, yeah, and if someone did lose money in a self-directed IRA investment, it would not affect today's lifestyle. Yes, they have to make that back up again, obviously. But it doesn't mean that we can't pay our mortgage and buy groceries an hour out on the street because this money disappeared. Exactly. I have a chance to make that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we all have to save for retirement, and of course, yes, every asset has risk. Every asset has risk. Every investment.
Otherwise, there'd be no upside. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, right. No pain, no gain, I suppose. But yeah. So, but when you can do your due diligence and make sure, and have the best possible idea that the asset that you're investing in is going to pay off. You do your spreadsheets, you do your list, the pros and cons, and you go on Google or there are a lot of different sites where you can check out asset sponsors. Hey, were they ever in jail? Are there any complaints about these people? And so you really do your background check to make sure you're making the best possible decision with your precious retirement money, because it's the contribution limits make it limited to how much you can put in. And you definitely want to make sure that before you pull the trigger, that you've done your homework and you feel real good about it.
Yeah, always vet a project, always vet a deal, always vet the people behind it. Always. And if you're doing a project, always vet the investors as well. I think that's important. You have to do it both directions. Because I say I don't want an investor that is putting money in that they can't afford to lose. That's not a valid investor to me. That's someone that needs to focus on other things first. And so
going in and during, by the way.
All the way, yeah, track it. Yeah, make sure they're doing reports, ask the questions. I get emails all the time from investors, how things going, what's up. I send them updates, but in between they'll call me and text me and email me and say, hey, have we heard any word on this, or what's our status, and those kind of things. And that's important so people know, because no project goes exactly according to plan ever. So you have to keep people apprised of what's going on. So we're talking to Karen Hall. She is the CEO, president, and founder of UDirect IRA Services. If you want to contact her, the website is www.udirectira.com. That is the letter U, DIRECT, IRA.com. Or you can email her at khall, KHALL, at udirectira.com. This is Building Solid Foundations. I'm Steve Matley. We'll be right back after this short break.
Looking to attract your target market without soliciting or doing the cold calling? Call Marie Waite and book your consultation. Branding gives you the power to create a unique and classy perception of your business for your target audience. A marketing plan without the right branding will always cost more, take longer, and tend to deliver subpar results compared to a well-branded business. Marie Waite is a branding strategist who formulates effective marketing and media programs to promote your business in building your name, brand, and legacy. Marie has over 10 years of experience and a proven record of creating strong brand content for business owners, entrepreneurs, and companies using her creative ideas, recommendations, and innovative programs. Book now at mariewaite.com or call her at 951-378-5316, 951-378-5316.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Hello everyone, I am Lynette LaRoche here at Fabulous Lifestyles Foundations Radio Show. So excited to have you here with us. We have so much to offer you, and we have amazing guests that we bring on every Sunday. So we want to make sure that you tune in on KCAA Broadcasting Network, because remember, this is all about having a fabulous lifestyle, and it can be yours to be had. So tune in every Sunday to Fabulous Lifestyle Foundation Radio. And we also have other radio shows that would be of interest to you as well in fashion, fun, and finance. I am Lynette LaRoche, and remember, you need to build a house before you can bring in the furniture.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. This is Steve Matley. I'm with Karin Hall. She is the CEO and founder of UDirect IRA Services. Karin, I've known, I want to say, for at least 4 years now, I think. She was on a show of ours way back when. I see her at the Investor Club Associations. Karin, you also run the Orange County Real Estate Investor Association, right?
I do. In 2012, the National RIA came to me and they asked me to run a RIA in Orange County. It's like, I'm too busy. But long story short, I started it up in November 2012. So for 11 years now, we've met just about maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, every single month since then. So that's, a lot of meetings. And we have all different kinds of real estate experts, people who are talking about market timing, people who are talking about specific asset classes, or maybe like how to write things off in your tax or cost seg, or all different topics, a lot like your show, Steve.
And are you currently meeting in person somewhere? Are you still, I know you had to go remote when the pandemic hit, and some clubs never went back to on ground, some did.
Yeah, we haven't gone back for a couple of reasons. One, because the price of hotels is really jacked up.
It's expensive.
Right. It is a lot more expensive. And we can serve more people by having our meeting on Zoom. More people attend, and we can have people from all different areas, and speakers, not just from Orange County, but from all over the place, can just join on Zoom, as opposed to like, oh, we can't get that speaker because they'd have to fly in. So we can get great quality speakers for our audience. And that's, people seem to like that.
So if people want to join your real estate investor club meeting, how do they do that?
They just show up. We're not charging dues anymore since we're not paying for a facility. Just ocreia.com, ocreia.com. And we've got a meeting every month.
All right. So they can go in, they can register for the meeting. They'll get a Zoom link. Is that what they get?
Correct. Yes, a Zoom link, and then they can sign up.
Perfect. Okay. And there's several really great clubs out there that are doing that right now, that discovered during the pandemic that they can get much wider net of both attendees and presenters, and that works. Other clubs discovered that they did better on ground because that's a group of people that likes the face-to-face, eye-to-eye, hand-to-hand kind of contact, and both have their benefits. So I encourage, if you're serious about being a real estate investor, get involved in multiple clubs, and some of them should be remote type clubs with a broad net, and some should be where you can actually talk to people face to face in a regular meeting, and you should do a lot of both of that. I'm a big fan of make all the contacts you can. Now, because you run an IRA company, and you have a background in mortgages and banking, and because you run this real estate investor association, I would assume a lot of people come to you and say, well, Karin, you've seen it all, done it all. What do you recommend? What do you think I should do? I've got your money. I got my money in your company over here. So what should I do? I need some advice.
I just can't answer that question, because we're not advisory. Right. It is self-directed. And so it would be, if we had that latitude to be advisory, that would be a totally different ballgame. But the other thing, people will come to me with opportunities, and they'll say, hey, Karin, will you present this opportunity to your account holders? And I can't do that either. I can educate our account holders, but I can't present offerings or deals, because it is truly self-directed. You need to find the deals yourself. And, that's how it runs.
And that can be a big liability, because as an administrator and they're working with the custodians, you're supposed to be a disinterested third party, just making sure that the money stays out of the hands of the people who it's going to go to when they retire. And you're not financial advisors, you're not tax advisors, you're not tax attorneys, you're not experts in all these. Nobody can be an expert in all the different avenues you could go, and so yeah, it would be a real problem, and potentially conflict of interest if you were advising.
Exactly, and the regulators also find it to be a conflict of interest as well. So we don't, we want to keep them happy. And so I do, that's how we run it.
And that's why I brought that up, because I know that naturally people want to go to the people that have seen it all and done it all. You must know a lot of stuff. And so let people know that they need to go to a qualified advisor if they need advice.
Right. Or they can go, well, I do a lot of networking parties. I know you and Marie have been to a lot of them. Yep. And so that's what I'll do. I'll bring people with money and people with deals together to a cocktail party, maybe usually a Friday evening, and we'll all get together. And that's fun, where people can meet each other. And that is a different kind of a thing. But I think really the best way to find deals is to talk to your friends. Who are they doing deals with? What kinds of deals are they doing? Go on YouTube, go to the, meetup.com and National RIA to find different kinds of groups where you can, talk to people. And there are so many events. There's no shortage of events to attend to learn more.
Yes, and we live in a great age where a lot of the stuff you don't have to go too far to access. In addition to all the events, there's an embarrassment of riches available on YouTube and LinkedIn Learning and all these other avenues out there where in the old days you had to go hunt down a bunch of periodicals and books and that kind of stuff, do it the hard way. And now you can educate yourself to a level beyond a graduate level, I think, just on your own if you just do the research. Now, having said that, you have to vet all that too, because just because someone wrote something, and even if it got picked up by Forbes or Entrepreneur or something like that, or Bigger Pockets, doesn't mean it's legitimate information. You have to go vet all that too. It's you want to do as much study as you can and compare things. And the other thing I'll say about real estate education, when it comes to where the market is going and the economics and predicting the future, it is like talking to kids about superheroes. Everybody's got a different idea and they're all convinced that they're correct. Okay. And nobody really knows.
Yeah, but it's good to have. We do have some people that are good, weather forecasters for the economy. And,
but you got to compare it all. Yeah, and everybody's been wrong and everybody's been right at some point. Some are right more than others. That's the ones you want to talk to more often. Yeah. But everybody's kind of guessing because last I checked, nobody controlled the universe. So
but one of the things I like to do is, some of the people that I know that are very successful investors, what are they doing with their money? So even if I'm not talking to them on the phone personally, I could just watch one of their podcasts and they're talking about this is what we're doing. Right. We're allocating here, we're doing this or that. Right. Like the Bigger Pockets podcasts are awesome for that, to hear a really in-depth interview with people that are, they're making their money decisions every day with a tremendous amount of knowledge and input from the market itself. So that's one of the things I like to do is listen to these.
Yeah, and one thing you'll listen to is as they tell you the stories, they'll tell you about, we haven't hit it 100% of the time. Here's a few times we missed it. But that's a part of growing and learning. If I was going to invest heavily in the stock market, I'd turn to someone like Warren Buffett, who's done extremely well at it. So it doesn't mean he's always been right. And the same thing in the real estate. I'm going to turn to people that are very good at it, which is why I hang out in real estate investor associations and those places, because I'm always learning too. And I'm always finding out new things. And every day you're a student. So as far as learning new things, back in 2019, Secure Act was passed, and they just did an update in 2022, and that's a new thing that changed. So let's educate our listeners on what that means.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Secure Act 1.0 in 2019, really what it changed for retirement accounts is what's called the RMD date, required minimum distribution. So it used to be for years, once you turn 70 and a half the year after, you had to take a distribution every year from your retirement account. A taxable distribution from your pre-tax accounts. Now that is still the case, but the Secure Act 1.0 raised that from 70 and a half to 72 years of age. Great. Well, now at the end of 2022, Secure Act 2.0 passed, and now the RMD age is 73. Okay. And Secure Act 2.0 said that in 10 years, in 2033, that age will be 75. And the reason for that is the acknowledgement that we are healthier and we're living longer, and we need to be building our retirement longer so that we have it, as we get to in our 90s or 100s. A lot more people are living to be 100, and we're going to need to have money to live then too. So the Secure Act kind of acknowledged that. Another thing that the Secure Act 2.0 did is it kind of augmented two current types of IRAs. We have a SEP IRA, a simplified employee pension, and a simple IRA, which is an acronym, a savings incentive match plan for employers, right? So the SEP and the simple IRAs are IRAs for employers. What Secure Act 2.0 did is added a Roth component. So now you can make a Roth contribution to these kinds of accounts. However, the ruling came out, Secure Act passed, but we have no guidance on how to administer these kinds of Roth contributions. What are the rules? If you make a Roth contribution to a SEP, can you still contribute to a Roth? We don't know. We're waiting for the Department of Treasury and the IRS to tell us. And a little while ago, I was in DC at a meeting. We were literally talking to the IRS and the Department of Treasury. They just don't have the guidance yet. but they will. And once they do, we'll be able to, maybe have another broadcast where we talk about how these plans, these augmented plans work, and how you can have more Roth savings if you're a business owner.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way the government does things. The elected people get around and they make an idea and pass something that's kind of vague. And then a bunch of people working in cubicles in an office building kind of figure the whole thing out and say, well, I think this is what they meant and this is the rules and we'll set this up. And that's kind of the nature of how things work. So until you get those rules, it's as if the rule didn't pass because nobody knows what to do yet. So, and you don't want to make a mistake. Yeah, you don't want to make a mistake. Yeah.
It's supposed to be here, but so just be watching for that because they raised the cap on a SEP IRA. Used to be able, like the cap, it's 25% of your income or $61,000. That's for 2022, the lesser of those two things. For 2023, the maximum contribution to a SEP is the lesser of 25% of your income, but now it's up to $66,000 a year. So what if you and your spouse are both principals in that company, you're both owners? $66,000 potentially each could go into that account, either after tax as Roth money that goes tax-free for life, or pre-tax where you get hopefully a tax write-off for that contribution. So powerful stuff.
Right. We're going to take another short break. We're going to come back and wrap all this up. We're talking about self-directed IRAs with Karen Hall. She is CEO and founder of UDirect IRA Services. And again, if you want to get hold of Karen, ask her any questions, which I highly recommend you do.
Hello, everyone. I am Lynette LaRoche here at Fabulous Lifestyles Foundations Radio Show. So excited to have you here with us. We have so much to offer you, and we have amazing guests that we bring on every Sunday. So we want to make sure that you tune in on KCAA Broadcasting Network, because remember, this is all about having a fabulous lifestyle, and it can be yours to be had. So tune in every Sunday to Fabulous Lifestyle Foundation Radio. And we also have other radio shows that would be of interest to you as well in fashion, fun, and finance. I am Lynette LaRoche, and remember, you need to build a house before you can bring in the furniture.
Tired of qualifying your leads and not getting the right clients for you? Join the finest women in real estate and learn how to attract the best clients and increase your referral network. Call now at 951-378-5316. 951-378-5316 and become one of the finest women in real estate.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hey guys, it's Damon, Mr. Foxy, Damon Hart, and I'm here with the real men of real estate. And I just want to say, hey, come and watch us this Sunday, 1 p.m. live, every Sunday. Okay, we're going to be on KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. If you got a minute, just tune in. We can't wait to have you here. I'm going to be there. If you can't make it on there, we're going to be at Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Android app on Building Solid Foundations channel. So tune in. But you know what you got to do in the meantime. Keep it foxy.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. I'm your host, Steve Matley. We are talking today with Karen Hall. She is the CEO, president, and founder of UDirect IRA Services. She provides self-directed IRA administrative services. We've kind of covered a lot of ground today. Hopefully you're taking notes out there. Of course, if you didn't, you can catch this on your recording and take your notes and learn things and reach out to Karen and ask her questions. So a couple things to look at. First of all, there are asset classes when people invest. So let's talk through what that means, define what that means, and then kind of talk to people about what those asset classes are.
Yeah, asset classes, that's, well, we call it the alternative asset class as a group. And so it means alternative means alternative to the stock market, so non-market correlated assets. And that, as we were talking about earlier, real estate, precious metals, it can be performing and non-performing debt. Your IRA can be the bank and lend money, which is something it's really a big thing, that one of the biggest asset classes.
Because one quick question, if they do that on real estate and they want to file a lien on the property to secure that loan, is it the IRA that is the lien holder and not the individual? Is that correct?
It is the IRA, correct. Yeah, that's how it's vested. It is the IRA. That's exactly right. And yeah, and secure debt is people love it, especially because it's passive, and people love secure debt with an IRA, especially since it's long-term money, and having that security that if your borrower doesn't pay back, then you get the asset back. So you kind of win either way. And so that becomes really a popular asset.
Now, how would you handle the property management, since you're supposed to be hands-off? If your IRA owns rental property and it's collecting the rent, but you have to go replace fixtures and paint the place, you can do that yourself, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, to a certain point, that's such a good question, because you're right. You are not allowed to offer services to the plan, but there are some things you can do. So if your IRA has an asset, like sometimes a note needs servicing, but you can take it up to a certain point. If your IRA has a piece of real estate, like say like a fourplex, you can go in and physically pick up and collect the rent checks made payable to the IRA and send them in, to your account. You can screen the tenants. You can hire third-party vendors to do the work, but no over-contribution of sweat equity. You're not going to go swinging the hammers. You're not going to be in there changing the garbage disposal. You hire third parties to do that. And you would never take a fee for managing your IRA-owned properties, because then you would be receiving personal benefit from your IRA-owned assets, and that would be a prohibited transaction. But you can do these basic tasks, which are essentially what property management is. Now, a lot of our account holders will hire a third-party property management firm because they want their asset really to be passive, and then a property manager is dealing with the phone calls, the tenant calls, and things like that.
So if I want to do value add or fix and flip through my IRA can be the investor in it, but I need to maybe hire someone to project manage that thing and then have all disassociated third parties as the contractors and the consultants on the whole
thing. Right. Yeah, exactly right.
And that's important for people out there looking to do these kind of things, because, all the TV shows tell us go do it yourself, right? And you could get yourself in trouble doing that.
Yeah, I mean, right now we don't have IRS agents at Home Depot saying, "Hey, who's that paint for? Are you going to paint, or is your IRA, you're going to hire?"
Well, I hear there's a whole bunch. I hear there's a whole lot more coming online, and they're going to be looking for something to do.
No, yeah, I hear that, yeah. But what I also heard is that we have a lot of people retiring and aging out of the IRS, and so I'm not that worried about it myself.
Yeah, I agree with that. And actually, people are aging out everywhere. And that's where talking about IRAs is really important. It's the largest growing demographic in the country is the retiring group. And actually, the single biggest little micro demographic is people living past 100. Percentage-wise growth is very large. It's not a high number, but percentage-wise, it's very large. We are living longer, and our IRAs have to take care of us longer. So let's talk also, as we get into setting things up, every IRA, there's fees. There's a cost of doing business that is taking away from the money that's in the IRA. So how does the self-directed IRA compare with the traditionals?
Like a typical IRA, if you have it with a financial institution, they're not just charging you fees, but they're also taking like they're taking fees off the back end that you may not necessarily see. Fees for executing transactions and fees that may be hidden. If you want to see a good expose on that, John Oliver did a great one. Just Google John Oliver and then teacup pigs. It's really funny, but it talks about all the fees that they take. With a self-directed IRA, we have a flat one-time startup fee of $50, an annual flat fee of $275. It doesn't really take a lot out of the profit. And then if you want to wire, you've got a wire fee. And if you need something FedEx, there's a FedEx fee. I mean, we don't fee you to death. Right. What we do is just, provide great service. And, we have about $1 billion under management, and we've been, chomping at it for over 15 years, or around 15 years.
Okay. Now, if you were going to talk to somebody who has that old 401k and they're not sure what they want to do with it, if they should take it to self-directed, or they feel like they're just not the kind of person that knows they're not qualified to manage their own retirement, what would you tell them? What would you say to encourage them that, this is something that you don't need a finance degree to do?
No, you don't. No, you don't need a finance degree at all. What you need to do is just understand the asset class. The number one thing is to know your asset. And maybe you understand real estate really well. Maybe you've been a mortgage person and you understand notes and lending really well. Maybe, there are just different ways you're going to understand asset classes. And so if you don't yet and you want to, again, as we mentioned, there's so many avenues of education, free education, to become more and more expert. So if you're not already an expert in an asset class, become one. Maybe even like tax liens, it's another asset class that you could invest in. But you don't want to do that until you know what it is and how it works, and until you hear about some failed stories, like stories of when people messed up and when people succeeded as well. So just educate yourself and really know your asset class.
I think that's true with everything. You gotta do your homework first. And before you go and step into anything, whether you're doing it through an IRA or doing it with your own personal money or your company money, yes, do your homework, vet the people, vet the project, understand what you're doing the best you can. If you need to, collaborate with other people who know more than you do, that's okay. That's where things like you mentioned the Reg D type syndications. Yeah, you're partnering with a bunch of other people who know what they're doing, so you don't have to know everything, and you learn as you go along, but you still get some benefit of being an investor in it. So that's a good way to look. So we're about out of time here. Thank you, Karin, for being on Building Solid Foundations. We've learned a lot about self-directed IRAs. If you want to contact Karin, it's khall@udirectira.com, the letter U, directira.com. Go to her website, udirectira.com. You can call her. There's a toll-free number, 866-447-6598, 866-447-6598, or her line at the office, 714-831-1866, 714-831-1866. Karin, thank you for being on the show again. I really appreciate it. I always learn a lot when I talk to you.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Great to see you again. Really appreciate it.
This is Building Solid Foundations. We'll be back next week on KCAA. If you miss us on KCAA, don't forget to catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire, or Android app on the Building Solid Foundations channel. And until next week, go do something different.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.